An appetizer of smoked salmon formed the prelude to dinner at about 5. Food seemed not to play a major role in Nozdrev's life. Some of it was burned, while other things were undercooked. His cook must have been guided by the inspiration of the moment and have chucked into the cooking pot whatever came to hand. If he happened to catch sight of pepper, he would pour in pepper. If a piece of cabbage, a jug of milk, some ham, a plateful of peas came to hand, he threw it in pell-mell, deciding that it was all right so long as it was hot and that the whole business was surely bound to have some taste or other. But to make up for this, Nozdrev laid great emphasis on wine. Even before the soup was served, he had poured everyone a large glass of port and a glass of hot sauterne, because there is no such thing as ordinary sauterne in small provincial towns. Then Nozdrev ordered that a bottle of Madeira be brought, good enough for a general. And true enough, the Madeira scorched the mouth, because the merchants, who knew the landowner's tastes well, doctored it mercilessly with rum, and sometimes even added state monopoly vodka to it, trusting Russian stomachs to cope with anything that came along. Then Nozdrev produced another bottle, which, in his words, was Bourguignon and Champignon, all rolled into one. He kept dutifully filling his brother-in-law's and Chichikov's glasses. The latter noticed, however, that he seldom filled his own. This put Chichikov on his guard, and whenever Nozdrev became absorbed in his own words or when he was busy pouring wine for his brother-in-law, Chichikov surreptitiously emptied his glass into his plate. Soon a rowanberry liquor was brought, tasting like whipped cream, according to Nozdrev, but which reeked surprisingly of potent home brew. Later they had some sort of an elixir bearing a complicated name well nigh impossible to remember, and even the host, when he mentioned it a second time, called it something different. With dinner over and the wines all sampled, the guests nevertheless remained at the table. Chichikov did not want to approach Nozdrev on the subject close to his heart in the presence of the brother-in-law. The brother-in-law, Chichikov decided, was an outsider, really, and the subject required a friendly, intimate atmosphere. However, the intruder could hardly be considered dangerous with the load he had taken on. He kept letting his nose fall into his plate and was almost asleep in his chair. Finally, sensing himself to be in a rather precarious condition, he started to beg to be allowed to take leave, but lazily and listlessly, as though, as the Russian saying goes, he were using tweezers to put the collar on a horse. No, I don't want to hear about it. I won't let you go, Nozdrev declared. Oh, no, my friend, don't do that to me. I really must go. Rubbish. Wait, we'll organize a little game of cards in just a moment. Well, you organize it yourself, brother, but I really must go home. My wife will be furious with me. I must tell her about what happened at the fair. I must, brother. Be nice to her. No, don't ask me to stay. You know what you can do with your wife as far as I'm concerned. I can imagine what important things you two do when you're together. Oh, no, my friend, she's such a respectful, loyal woman. She does great things for me, and believe it or not, I sometimes have tears of gratitude in my eyes. No, don't try to keep me here. I tell you, as an honorable man, I'm going. I assure you on my honor. Let him go. What good can he be to us? Chichikov said quietly to Nozdrev. After all, you're right, Nozdrev agreed. I can't stand people who go to pieces like that. And turning to his brother-in-law, he said, All right, then. The hell with you. Go home and hang around your woman, you gutless ass. No, my friend, you mustn't say I'm gutless. I owe her my life. She's so gentle, so nice. She's so tender that it makes the tears pour from my eyes. She'll ask me what I saw at the fair and want me to tell her everything. She's so nice. All right, here's your hat. Go and tell her all your stupid lies. You shouldn't talk about her like that. In doing so, you offend me personally. She's so sweet. Well, then, get out of here quick and go and join her. Yes, I'll go, and please excuse me for being unable to stay. I'd have loved to, but it's impossible. And the brother-in-law kept apologizing thus for some time, without noticing that he was already sitting in his carriage, that the carriage had driven out of the gates, and that around him there was nothing but open fields. It is highly improbable that his wife heard many details about the fair when he got home. The miserable pipsqueak, Nozdrev said, standing by a window and watching the receding vehicle. So off he goes. But that's not a bad little off-horse, don't you think? I've had my eye on it for quite some time. But it's impossible to get together with that fat ass on anything. They went back into the dining room. Porfiry brought candles, and by their light, Chichikov suddenly noticed a pack of cards in his host's hands, which had appeared as if by magic. "What do you say?" Nozdrov said, pressing the sides of the deck with his fingers and twisting it a little, so that the band around it cracked and broke. "Well, just to kill time, what do you say? If I start the bank at, say, 300? But Chichikov acted as though he hadn't heard, and, as if suddenly remembering something, said, I mustn't forget. I must ask you for a small favor." "What's that?" "Promise first that you'll do it." "But what is it?" "Well, you give me your word?" "All right, your word of honor." "My word of honor." "Tell me, then, I suppose you have many dead peasants who haven't been taken off the census list as yet?" "Certainly I have, and so?" "Transfer them to my name, then." "What do you want them for?" "I need them, that's all." "But why?" "I tell you I need them, that should be enough." "I bet you're up to something. Tell me what it's all about." "Up to what? It's such a small thing. How can it amount to much?" "Why do you want them, then?" "Oof, how inquisitive can a man be? Looks as if you'd pick up any piece of filth, poke your fingers into it, and then take a good sniff. But why are you so secretive about the whole matter? You wouldn't gain anything by my telling you. I just have a fancy, that's all." "All right, then. I won't go through with it until you've told me everything." "That's not fair. You gave me your word, and now you're backing out." "Say what you like. I won't do a thing until you've told me." Chichikov pondered. What on earth can I tell him? And after a minute of pondering, he said that the dead souls were needed to add to his social standing, that he lacked a large estate, so for the time being, he would have to make do with just a few dead souls. "You're lying," Nozdrov said, without even giving him a chance to complete his story. "You're a liar, friend." Chichikov hadn't thought the story very convincing himself. "All right, then," he said. "I'll be straightforward with you. But please keep it between us. I want to marry someone. But her parents are very ambitious people. I've really got myself into a fix. They demand that their daughter's future husband should own at least 300 souls. Now, I'm easily 150 short, so..." "You're lying, Nozdrov shouted again. "Oh, no," Chichikov said. "This time I haven't lied even that much." And he marked off a tiny section of his little finger with his thumb. "You're a Jesuit? A hypocrite. I'd stake my head that you're lying." "Now I'm beginning to be offended. Why do you keep saying I'm lying?" "Because I know you well, and you're a monumental fraud. I tell you so in all friendship. You know, if I had someone like you working for me, I'd string him up to the nearest tree." Chichikov was rather offended by this remark. Any crude or insulting expression affected him unpleasantly. He even disliked familiarity toward himself, unless the person with whom he had to deal was of exalted rank. Now he became quite angry. "I swear I'd string you up," Nozdrov kept repeating. "I'm being frank with you. Not to offend you, but in all friendship." "There's a limit to everything," Chichikov said with dignity. "If you want to impress people by such expressions, you'd be better off in a barracks." After this he added, "And if you don't wish to give me the dead souls, then sell them to me." "Sell them?" "Oh, but I see through you, you son of a gun. You won't give me much for them, will you?" "Well, you're a fine one. Just look at them. What are they made of, these dead peasants of yours? Diamonds or something?" "There we go. I knew it. Now wait a minute. Where does this Shylock instinct in you come from? You really ought to just give them away." "All right, listen to me. Just to show you I'm no skinflint, I won't take a thing for them. You buy my stallion, and I'll throw them into the bargain." "But what am I supposed to do with your stallion?" Chichikov asked, surprised by this offer. "What do you mean, what are you supposed to do with the stallion? I paid 10,000 rubles for him, and I'll only ask 4,000 of you." "But what use will he be to me? I'm no horse breeder." "You still don't understand. You'll pay me only 3,000 down, and you can owe me the other 1,000. "Yes, but I don't want your stallion. You keep him." All right. Buy the chestnut mare then. I don't need a mare either. I'll give you the mare and that gray horse you saw earlier for 2,000. But I don't need any horses. You could sell them at the first fair and get 3 times the price. So you'd better sell them yourself if you can get 3 times the money for them. I know I can get the price, but I'd like you to have the advantage of the bargain too. Chichikov thanked him for his solicitude, but refused the gray horse and the mare with finality. Well, then, buy some dogs. I'll sell you a pair that'll give you goose flesh from sheer delight. Big chests, whiskers, coats bristling like a brush, barrel ribs beyond imagination, paws so padded that they don't even leave a mark on the ground. I don't need hounds, I'm no hunter, but I feel you ought to have dogs. Still, if you don't want any, then buy my barrel organ. It's a wonderful barrel organ, and I give you my word, I paid 1,500 rubles for it. However, I'll let you have it for only 900. What do you imagine I could do with a barrel organ? I'm no German, dragging barrel organs from place to place begging. But this isn't the kind of barrel organ the Germans use. Let me show it to you again. It's made of mahogany. And Nozdrev grabbed Chichikov by the hand and started to draw him into the next room. And although Chichikov planted his feet on the ground and tried to assure his host that he remembered the barrel organ well, he had to listen all over again to Malbrook starting off on his campaign. Then Chichikov heard the following proposition. Listen, if you don't want to pay cash for it, you can have my barrel organ and all the dead souls I possess. And you give me your carriage plus 300 rubles. Anything else? What would I travel in? I'll give you another carriage. Come, let's go to the shed. I'll show it to you. You'll just have to paint it and you'll have a wonderful carriage. Chichikov thought, something's got into this one. He doesn't ever seem to get tired and give up. And he decided to clear all these barrel organs and dogs, padded paws and all, out of the way. But the carriage, the barrel organ, and the dead souls, they all go together, Nozdrev said. Oh no. Why not? No, and that's that. Really, you're a difficult man. It's impossible to be friendly with you. It's obvious right away that you're a two-faced person. You must take me for a fool. Why must I buy something I simply don't need? You don't have to insist anymore. I know you well by now. You're crooked. Through and through. Now listen. Let's play bank and I'll stake all the deceased on one card and the barrel organ to go with them. To let cards decide is to accept incertitude, Chichikov said, glancing sideways at the cards in Nozdrev's hand. The patterns on their backs looked quite suspicious. Why incertitude, Nozdrev said. If you're lucky, just look what you can take. See, what luck, he added, throwing down a few cards to rouse Chichikov's interest. Yes, you certainly are lucky. Here, see? Your card beats the damn 10, on which I've staked everything. I felt it would let me down. But I just closed my eyes and said, all right, let it be. As Nozdrev was saying this, Porfiry came in with a bottle. But Chichikov firmly refused either to drink or to play. Why don't you want to play? Don't feel like it. And then, I must confess, I'm not much of a gambler. How come you don't like to gamble? I just don't happen to like it, Chichikov said with a shrug. You're really no good. Can't be helped. It's the way God made me. You're an ass. I thought at first you were a decent fellow. But there doesn't seem to be any point in treating you fairly. It's impossible to talk to you as a friend. There isn't even an honest streak in you. No frankness. You're a son of a gun. Just like Sobakevich. But why do you say all this now? Is it my fault that I'm not a gambler? You'll get nothing out of me. I was going to let you have them for nothing, but you won't get a thing out of me now. You can offer me 3 kingdoms. I won't budge. You're nothing but a shark and a chimney sweep, and I don't want anything to do with you. Hey, Porfiry! Tell the stableman not to give any oats to his horses. Hay is good enough for them. Chichikov was quite befuddled by the turn things had taken. I wish I'd never set eyes on you, Nozdrev said. This disagreement, however, did not prevent them from eating supper together, although this time no wines with fancy names appeared on the table. There was just one bottle of some stuff from Cyprus, which was vinegary no matter how you looked at it. After supper, Nozdrev showed Chichikov a guest room, in which a bed had been prepared for him. "Here's your bed," he said, "but I don't even want to wish you a good night." Chichikov felt quite depressed after his host had departed. He was furious with himself for having come here and wasted his time, and even more so for his stupid, childish carelessness. His business was not of a sort that could safely be entrusted to a man like Nozdrev. Nozdrev was a worthless creature. He would gossip, lie, spread rumors. It didn't look good at all. "I'm a fool," Chichikov kept telling himself. He slept very poorly. Moreover, some tiny but very fierce insects kept biting him, quite mercilessly. And rubbing a bitten spot self-pityingly, he repeated again and again, "Damn you and Nozdrev both!" He woke up very early, and the first thing he did was to put on his dressing gown and his boots, walk over to the stables, and order Selifan to harness his carriage at once. On his way back to his room, he met Nozdrev in the yard, also wearing a dressing gown. He had a pipe between his teeth. Nozdrev greeted him in a friendly fashion and inquired how he had slept. "So-so," Chichikov answered quite coolly. "And I, friend," Nozdrev informed him. "I daren't tell you the rubbish that got into my head, and my mouth feels as though a whole troop of soldiers had bivouacked there. Well, I dreamed I was flogged. And guess who did it? No, you'll never get it. Captain Patsiliev. And Kuvshinikov helped him. It would have been a good thing," Chichikov thought, "if they'd flogged you during your waking hours." "I tell you, it stung terribly," Nozdrev went on. "And when I woke up, I was itching all over, because of those bitchy fleas, you know. But go ahead, get dressed. I'll come and join you in a second. I must go and bawl out my estate manager, the son of a bitch." Chichikov went to his room to wash and get dressed. When he was ready, he went to the dining room, where tea had been served, and there was a bottle of rum on the table, too. The room still bore the traces of yesterday's meals. It didn't look as if a broom were ever used in this house. Bread crusts were scattered all over the floor, and ashes had found their way onto the tablecloth. The master of the place himself, who came in soon after Chichikov, had nothing under his dressing gown but his bare chest, on which grew some sort of hair. Holding a short pipe in his fist, he sipped his tea from his cup. He would have made a good model for a painter who disliked slicked-down, curled, or short-cropped gentlemen, like those on barber-shop posters.